Hello, welcome to Access. I'm Rob. Joining us is Dave.
Hello.
Dave, we've just seen Mafia 3.
Yeah.
Well, last night we did.
Yeah, we did. We saw the trailer reveal and we saw about 15 minutes of gameplay.
And it looks pretty spectacular.
It does indeed.
And we're going to be talking about Mafia 3, specifically 5 reasons Mafia 3 is going to be the godfather of open world games.
You're pleased with that, aren't you?
Thank you. I am, yes. Let's get into it then.
Yeah,
Dave.
reason number 1 then is shaping the world, Rob.
Yes.
So, Mafia 3 takes place in a New Orleans-inspired city.
Yep.
Heavily inspired, I'd say. And it's about organised crime in the city. And more specifically, it's about taking apart that organised crime, disorganising it, if you will.
And then
reorganising it with your own crime, your own organised crime. But more specifically, basically, you're, as I said, taking apart the organised crime in this city. And then you get to choose how you sort of build it back up again. So you have lieutenants, 3 lieutenants that you work with, who you can assign sections of the city once you've taken them over.
We saw Lincoln taking over a place called the Sister, didn't we? And he got Vito, who you'll remember from Mafia 2.
Yeah.
To look after this patch of city for him.
That's right, and then as a sort of reward for doing that, you get different upgrades and bonuses for depending on who you choose. And I think that who you choose is going to have an effect on that area of the city as well as the story. And so I think that, my city could look quite different to yours depending on how I...
Maybe you could choose a lieutenant who betrays you.
I mean, it could happen. It could happen. Who knows?
This kind of dynamic where it happens quite a lot in open world games where you're taking over various parts of the city, but here it kind of feels a lot more alive.
Yeah,
almost.
definitely.
Like you have to run it. You can't just take it over. Boom, then it's yours.
Yeah, it's not just done and dusted.
You have to, organise the crime.
Exactly. It feels like you're having a real effect on the world rather than just sort of taking over that area. That's done. Next area.
Yeah.
So
and talking about the world, that is point number 2. The setting, which is a fictitious version of New Orleans, but very heavily inspired by New Orleans. More importantly, though, is the era, which is 1968.
Yeah, I was really excited by the era because I think when you think of Mafia traditionally, you think of a slightly older era, like 50s back to the 20s.
Yeah.
So I thought this was really exciting because it's much more recognisably modern to, I think... The look of cities and stuff is a lot more similar to what we have now than some of those older cities from the past. And I think it's just really interesting world to explore. We've never really seen this era in a game before, other than like a war game.
The Vietnam's quite crucial to the plot as well, isn't it? In Mafia 3, because your protagonist Lincoln has just come back from fighting in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So that provides the backdrop, I guess, to the plot.
Yeah. And it seems to be all throughout the city. There's a lot of talk on the streets just about Vietnam and whether it's right that the US have gone to war or not. It seems to be this like art everywhere to do, on the wall graffiti about the war and stuff. There seems to be like protests and things happening.
Yeah. I mean, we interviewed Hayden Blackman, who's the creative director for Mafia 3, which is an interview you can see on the channel, if not now, then very soon. And he was saying how, the 1960s in America was a time of great, cultural change and upheaval. And I think you can really see that in the game.
Yeah. Well, one of the big ways you can see it, point number 3, you can actually hear it, is the music in the game. And the soundtrack is absolutely incredible.
Tell me about the soundtrack, because I don't know about music.
Well, I recognised a lot. I didn't know all of it, but in the trailer there's All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix, which was really, really exciting to hear. And it's coming out of a radio. No, it's contemporary for the characters in the game. This is new stuff. Also Painted Black by the Rolling Stones. Heard some Kinks, I think, and the Animals. It's
60s rock and roll.
Yeah,
a bit of jazz in there.
Exactly. It's music that I think people today still love and listen to. Jazz from previous sort of Mafia eras is, everyone enjoys it, but it's not. It doesn't mean so much. It puts you in the place. Whereas I think here, we saw Lincoln walking around the city and just different styles of music and songs came wafting out of bars and clubs, and it gave the city a real sense of time.
But for people who enjoy just being absorbed in game worlds, just existing in them.
Yeah,
this is going to be a great world to do that. I think just to walk around it, take in the sights, because the lighting is beautiful.
Yeah.
Just to listen to the music that not just comes out of car stereos, but as Dave said, comes out of clubs and bars as you walk past. It really does feel like you're inside a 60s mob movie.
Yeah.
We should talk about Lincoln Clay. That's point number 4.
Yes.
He's the protagonist, and he's going to play, well, obviously he's going to play a crucial role in the game. But he's a very interesting character, isn't he? Because
He is indeed.
he's quite violent,
Yeah.
very loyal to his family, very driven.
Well, you say his family. He's an orphan, of course, but when he went into the army, he met his family.
Made his family.
You know, exactly. He's, which is really important to him. He's a very loyal character, and I think he's driven by that loyalty, maybe to, you know, a fault. It's hard to say at the moment.
The first thing we saw him doing was feeding a rival mob boss to some alligators in a swamp.
That's right, yeah. Which I'm hoping is going to be a mini game.
I hope you get a trophy for it.
Definitely.
And hope it's some crocodile-related pun.
Exactly.
That if I was witty, I would think of right now, but I can't.
But you're not. He's been described as an anti-hero, and I think that is going to be interesting to see how they get that across, because an anti-hero, it's quite hard to it's a fine line, isn't it, between doing some quite horrible things and still empathising with that character. So.
Yeah. And well, he does. Talking of horrible things that he does.
Yeah.
Point 5, the combat and the various modes of it. Now, the combat's very brutal. We saw lots of takedowns with knives and also shotguns.
Yeah.
And we saw some proper full-on third-person cover shooter combat.
Yeah.
And we saw some car combat.
Yeah.
And it all seemed very well. Just the transitions between those different styles of combat seemed very smooth.
Absolutely.
It seemed like quite a natural thing as well.
Yeah, I was really surprised and impressed by the sort of speed of things. It really flows. Like the gunplay, especially, it wasn't in any way sort of heavy. It was he seemed really quick and fluid in the way that he can shoot. I noticed he shoots with both hands, which sort of adds to that. And getting into cover, it didn't feel ever like, you know, you were triggering an animation. Like, now I'm in cover, now into shoot mode. It was just like it was happening, and that felt really, really cool. Likewise, I liked in the sort of stealthy gameplay, you can do special melee kills that give you sort of like a bit of a cutscene, and they were incredibly brutal.
Yeah.
And then their car.
Oh, the car was great. I mean, Hayden mentioned the movie Bullet as taking inspiration from that for the car bits, and he said it's physics-based driving, which, of course, all driving is physics-based to some degree.
I think it means something more in games development.
Yeah, what he meant, obviously, was that it really did look like there was a weight to it. Obviously, we've not played it. We're just you know, looking at it.
Yeah.
But it really did look like they put a lot of effort into the driving sections. They didn't want it to feel just like, as can happen in an open world games, just a bolted on thing that you can do.
Exactly. I think the cars look like they handled like the big old American muscle cars with all their suspension. You know, they sort of don't want to turn around corners and stuff. And as such, they've been able to put in really cool looking car combat where you feel like when you are hitting other cars, they are going to go off the road because your car is a monster.
And the rear view mirror bit is what you like.
I love the rear view mirror. Just first of all, I just like it anyway because it's sort of like an oldie worldy rear view mirror and it looks quite cool. But best of all, when you shunt someone off the road or something and they're behind you and they explode, rather than having to look round and see and then crash what's happened, you get a little sort of mini cutscene in your rear view mirror. So you're still driving along playing the game, but you get in your rear view mirror a little cutscene. You can
see the car exploding, like developers are listening to us.
Exactly, it's all you ever want, isn't it?
To see the car they've made explode without having to crash themselves.
Exactly.
Let's show them that.
There was also like a timing-based sort of shooting of enemy tires that looked really, really cool, and you can interrogate people in the car as well
by driving like a madman.
Yeah, apparently that's literally what the mode is called, is drive like a madman.
And you had the option also to kill or spare the person you interrogated. I think Lincoln spared him, but that still meant kicking him out the passenger door.
Yeah, I mean he's not very well, but he is technically alive.
There was a bit where Lincoln bailed as well and used his car as a missile. To take out a roadblock in front of him, which was also really cool.
Yeah.
So all in all, quite a spectacular looking game, Mafia 3.
Absolutely.
Let us know in the comments what you think of the game. Don't forget to like and also subscribe, because we've got absolutely loads more videos coming up all through Gamescom.